I am so excited today. I've been waiting a long time for this interview. Jacqueline Stuckey, who's written just an incredible emotional story. Not a story, it's her life, and we're going to hear about it here in just a minute. Restoring the Southpaw. It's quite the story of her journey and how she is this beautiful, miraculous woman out the other side. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Michelle.
So your story is really quite remarkable, but I want to start with the title because Southpaw is an interesting title, and I'm not sure everybody gets it right from the outset. You have to read the book. Will you share with us how you came to Restoring the Southpaw as your title?
Well, actually, I was torn between titles. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use that, but one of my nephews kind of threw the idea out, and he mentioned it one day on Facebook, and I thought, Southpaw. So yeah, I can go with that because I'm the only left-handed sibling in the family of 7 kids. So I thought, I'll try that. 7 children, yes.
And so Southpaw, for those people who don't know, means left-handed. Do you have any idea where that came from?
Well, I had to look it up in a dictionary. And so it originated as a baseball term. The baseball player would stand, I think, east of the home plate so that their left hand is facing south.
Okay.
Something like that. So I thought, okay, that's where it originated from.
Yeah, okay,
but it
cool.
said, it could be it's a left-handed baseball player or any left-handed person.
Right. Nice. And so the subtitle of your book, hold the book up for us and let us see it. Abused, Stalked, and Restored.
Yes.
There we go. And it's so interesting, the image on the front. It's almost like an old black and white movie that comes into color. I'm sure you have some thoughts about it, but I find it's quite almost haunting and inspirational at the same time, the color.
Yes. Well, based on the concept.
Thank you for holding it.
Based on the concept, it's actually part of my testimony in the book, wherein I was 25 years old and I felt the black and white image reflects my worn, haggard self at 25. I had reached the end of my rope with the drinking and the dysfunctional, chaotic living, with the emotional issues, and I was staring at myself in the mirror and I was surveying my reflection. So the black and white image reflects that, but the colored image, the beautiful colored image, reflects my new self after that.
I'm sort of lay it all out in this book. What made you decide to really come forth and share your story of abuse and how you were able to come out of that?
Well, I think I was a junior, maybe a senior, working on my undergrad. And actually, you hear about being, the valedictorians and people who have enrolled in these organizations in college. So at graduation, they have these ropes and necklaces indicating their progress. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I don't have any of that. But it's taken a great deal of torture for me to get to it. It's been hard work getting to this point. So I thought, I don't have any of those. I'm not valedictorian. I'm not a straight A student, but I have a story to tell. It's been hell getting to this point. And I thought that my story was worth telling my journey up until graduation.
I hope someday you're presented with a big robe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. And you've been out on the other side for a long time now, doing well. What do you do with your life now?
Well, oh my God, I'm in graduate school. I'm in my first semester or my first block of graduate school for counseling. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually interning at a drug and alcohol agency, earning my certified addiction counselor hours for certification. and then licensure. And then just trying to make contacts to promote my book.
Mhm.
And those are the things that keep me really, really busy.
Really, what gave you the internal strength to see yourself out of this situation? And why do you think so many others can't find that for themselves?
Well, I was a young mother. I had 3 children. And I came from a background of alcoholism and violence, abuse. And my kids just deserved so much better than I had to offer. I didn't want to be that way because I knew I was unstable, but I still had these children. I was a single mother and I still had my kids to raise. And so I didn't know how I was going to do that because I didn't have any role models. I didn't have any support. There was nobody I could turn to, but I knew it was actually a divine intervention for me because I had tried everything before. I was actually forced to do it. I lost custody of my children actually when they were very young. And, the Department of Human Services ordered me to do certain things, see a psychologist, go to alcohol treatment and parenting classes. And so that didn't work. I mean, although I wanted to change, I just didn't have it in me at the time. And so, each time that I looked at my kids, they just deserve so much better than I could offer. And as well as myself, I flunked out of high school in the 9th grade because I just didn't go to school. I had so many problems at home, with my parents and everything. And so I wanted better. And I wanted my children. I didn't want to lose them again. And I wanted to be a better role model, a better parent for them, and to be a better person for myself.
So many people are in that same situation or a similar situation and don't get out. What was your divine inspiration? Like, did God talk to you in the middle of the night?
Well, one day while my 2 oldest kids were at school, they were in kindergarten, and I was at home with my youngest daughter, and I was in the bathroom, and as I was leaving the bathroom, I caught my reflection in the mirror, and I just stopped. I just happened to stop and turn and look in the mirror. So I started surveying my appearance, and I looked. I had these dark circles under my eyes. My eyes were sunken in. I was really thin. I'm 5 feet 10 inches tall, but I think I weighed between 110 and 120 pounds.
Skinny.
Very skinny. And I still bore the scars of some of the dark circles were actually black eyes that were still healing. Some were from lack of sleep and, just drinking and not, worrying about how I was going to change my life. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I hated what I saw. I hated it. And I just said out loud, I just found myself saying, God, see, I didn't know him as my Father in heaven who answers prayers. I didn't know. All I said was, God, please don't let me wake up tomorrow. Because if this is the best that I can do, if this is all I can give for myself and my children, don't let me wake up tomorrow. And I was really, really, really serious. I was so disgusted with my whole life. I was disgusted with my performance. I was disgusted with my situation. And I hated the way I looked. And I thought, I don't see any way out. I can't turn to my parents. I can't turn to my friends, cousins, anybody. So it's best that I just cease to exist. So I say, God, just don't let me wake up tomorrow. And I walked out the bathroom. From that moment on, now I fully expected not to wake up the next day. But here I was, but there was a change in me that I can't describe. It was like no other feeling in the world. If I could explain it, I would. But whereas I tried before with all my physical efforts and everybody else tried, sometimes they try to guilt you into change. Maybe they think that'll catapult you into the change that you need. It didn't work for me. But from that moment on, when I asked God to not let me wake up, somehow I just felt like I know I'm going to do this time. So on February 1st, 1989, I took my last drink. It just got easier and easier not to want to drink anymore, not to want to smoke cigarettes, because I used to smoke cigarettes as well. You know, it just got easier before, when I asked the Lord not to wake me up the next day.
And what do you tell other people who might be in similar situations? Would you recommend that they go pray, that they take their classes seriously? What would you say is the first step for them?
Well, that's a good question. Right now, I'm teaching group because I recently became a registered psychotherapist. So, yay. So I'm
Again,
teaching
congratulations.
group. Thank you. So one of the questions that I posed to the class was, how would you encourage someone else who is, an addict, or who they feel, maybe they feel that they can't overcome this issue? How would you direct them? And one of the students answered and said, it's total willpower. But I had to interject and say, it's more than just willpower. It's just more than willpower. You would have to want it. And then you have to go through the physical as well as the mental changes. And that is the withdrawal, the detoxification from the drug. And that is the uncomfortable part of it. A lot of times, addicts or alcoholics, when they get to that stage, it becomes really uncomfortable for them physically, and it's horrifying, it's terrifying. It was for me too, this complete transformation that you go through. And so a lot of times that can be intimidating. And so they retreat, they don't want to go through it. But my advice to them would be, stay the course. It's only for a short time, this discomfort. It's only for a short time. But once you get over the hump, once you get past that uncomfortable stage, you will be better for it if you would just hang in there.
What are your plans when you are finished graduating? Are you going to open your own clinic? Do you know what you're going to do yet?
Well, I'm not sure. Okay, so my supervisor, he is great. He's a great supervisor. So he has 2 agencies, he and his wife. And so he's kind of alluded to the fact that he wants to sell me one of his agencies, and I'm thinking, at first I was thinking, well, I'm barely in graduate school, I don't know. And he's serious. So I thought, so recently, maybe last month, I thought, hey, he's really serious about this, and maybe it's possible for me to do it, because I didn't think that it was possible for me to do it. So I'm considering it. And if he's serious, I'd like to do that. I like to buy the agency, because it's been my dream to be the director of my own agency and, make my own hours and hire competent professionals.
Right. Well, one way or another, I don't see that being an obstacle for you. I'm sure either through this agency or another one, you certainly have everything within you. My goodness, after what you've been through. I want to ask you, do you see signs when other people are in trouble, other students around you, that maybe they're not recognizing for themselves, that they're going down a bad place? Can you recognize the signs?
I did intern briefly at an inpatient treatment facility. And of course, they've all hit rock bottom. That's the reason why they were there. But I can recognize in friends or family members if they're, heading down the wrong path, and I have been able to do so for quite some time now. So yes, I can.
And it seems to me like some people just don't want to be helped, or they're not ready for help. And I find that frustrating with people in my life. And I'm just wondering how you might, if you see the signs and you're so educated and you can get out, you have this experience, what do you do to help someone else?
And you're right. It is absolutely frustrating. So what I've tried to do recently with my family members is to encourage them, not to judge. I mean, if they still drink, they still get drunk, they still do illicit drugs. But unlike my experience where I was, made to feel ashamed and condemned, I try to talk to them in a positive way. I try to let them know, hey, there's a better way. I understand how you feel. However, you can improve. You don't have to continue to live down, in the muck and mire. You can improve. And so I mean, they haven't followed the advice. It's like, okay, once I'm feeling ashamed, then I know I can always call Jackie to give me a word of encouragement, but I'm still going to do what I do. So
Yeah.
that's frustrating.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Hold up your book again for us.
Okay.
I want you to show it off. Restoring the Southpaw, Abused, Stalked, Restored. Getting fabulous reviews.
Yes.
It's getting really good reviews. It's very well written. I want to congratulate you, and I look forward to seeing where you go and all the many, many souls that you will help. Thank you for doing the work that you do.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.